Hello everyone and welcome to episode 23 of the ITSM Crowd. Today we are going to be talking about a fairly controversial topic and one that's been quite popular on Twitter, which is, do we actually need the IT in IT service management anymore? So before we kick off, I'm going to ask our panel to introduce themselves. So working from left to right on my screen, Robert, if you want to say hello, please.
Hello, I'm from Belgium. So good morning, everybody.
Hi. Daniel?
Daniel Breston, Texan, now living in Britain. Kind of know something about IT, service management, DevOps, stuff like that. Having fun.
Thank you very much. Karen?
Karen Ferris, working out at Melbourne, Australia. Good evening. IT service management consultant, organisational change practitioner.
We've lost the boss.
Okay, everything froze for me for a while there. Sorry about that. Michelle, if you want to say hello, please. Can you hear us, Michelle?
Michelle's on mute, I think.
Okay, Simone, we'll come back to Michelle.
Hi, Simone Jo Moore, ITSM background, service management, actually business service management prior to that, organisational change, HR, that kind of thing. And again, happy to be with be in my happy place with these guys here on the panel.
Thank you very much. And Tristan?
Hi, Tristan Boot from Auckland, New Zealand. So good evening from here as well. Probably latest in the evening, I think. Feels like old time actually, with a couple of these people chatting. So I'm really looking forward to this. Be on board. Got 15 or 16 years experience in sort of IT and mainly in the service management space. More time than I would care to remember on a service desk, and then through a various number of roles into now working as a service management consultant.
Thank you very much. And Andy's just joined us as well. So Andy, if you want to say hello and just tell us a bit about yourself.
Hi, I hope you can hear me. I hardly ever use Google Hangouts. I'm not a Google fan. So I can never work out how to put my name on it or what to do with the camera, things like that. So basically, hi everyone. I'm Andrea Andikis. I'm working as a senior consultant for ISG. And well, my ITSM journey or service management journey started back in 2002 on a multilingual service desk in Budapest. And now here I am, specializing in SIAM and service management, which is a topic very close to my heart.
Thank you very much. My name's Claire Agutter. I'm the lead tutor for ITSM Zone. So I'll be hosting today's chat, and we'll be keeping an eye on Twitter as well. So if you've got any questions that come up as you're watching this, if you post them on Twitter with the hashtag ITSM Crowd, we will pick them up and the panel will be happy to address them while we're live. So let's start by just explaining a bit of context around today's topic. Do we need the IT in ITSM anymore? Would one of you like to kick us off and just explain why this is a relevant question?
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. I think we've been talking a lot about, business service management or enterprise service management, where the basics of what IT service management and frameworks like Agutter have taught us apply to lots of other parts of the organisation. So, for example, HR, facilities, they have, facilities get incidents, they have problems they need to work on, they have changes. So the basic process concepts that IT service management frameworks have given us apply to lots of other parts of the business. So, and that's being adopted. I'm seeing that in Australia as well, in a number of organisations. So it's, service management, yes, we can drop the IT, but it's still relevant for IT as well.
I've got a question. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say I've got a question for the rest of the group. Is this chicken or an egg? I mean, we're talking about service management, and having come from the business side to start with, I'd probably argue the point that ITSM is just business service management that IT adopted for their own environment. Yes? No?
Well, is it? I mean, did business service management have frameworks that they leveraged? Where IT service management has leveraged, ITIL, COBIT, and we're now looking at the disruption, and we're adopting, agile service management, DevOps, looking at lean in terms of our processes. I wonder whether maybe for the first time IT has actually led something within an organisation. Well, the organisation can now leverage.
I think you could be right, Karen. Yeah, I think you're right, Karen, because even if they have had processes in the past, there's not much sign of them when I'm talking to people in the business these days, and they're actually quite excited by some of the stuff that we're bringing to them. I actually think the ship sailed. The question, do we need it? Do we need IT? Is gone, because everybody is basically accepted now that we've got to get out of the paradigm we've been working in. I used to say all the time that we haven't got IT right yet, so are we grown up enough to? But I think we didn't get the IT right because we weren't talking to the business, so we were trying to do it in isolation. And I think this is a great way of actually bringing everybody together.
I agree and I don't agree, because this is all nice and theoretical, but when you look around the real life, service manager roles are always within IT, are always stuck within operation, and people's mindsets are, and even if you look at job descriptions, job advertisements for service manager, service delivery manager, or any kind of service management related roles, they're always IT related, always a requirement with IT skills, and always within the IT department. So I would say it's wishful thinking. I would say it's something that we should definitely move away from. I personally think that even in our hashtags and everything, we still say ITSM. We still have groups called ITSM. So it's all very good and understandable that everybody says, yeah, absolutely, let's move away. We are better and more, and let's connect with the business and this and that. The reality is that, in my point of view, this is still wishful thinking only.
See, I don't agree with that totally, simply because, I managed serviced offices. This is before IT. We used IT as part of our technology and our tool set, our communications and everything like that was needed. But when I was doing sales and marketing, I was managing the business services that went with selling the office space. So I was still a service manager, not just customer service manager, a service manager. And I had that title. So those things still exist out in the business world and have done and are still there. I think it's just, are we still not, is the veil between business and IT when it comes to this nomenclature still too misty? The veil's not clear enough.
The thing is that, for the gray hair in the group, IT service management leveraged ITIL. ITIL was supposed to give IT a clue as to how to behave. It was supposed to give IT a clue about how to plan, coordinate, create an environment that supported the business, create a way to work with each other inside IT, and then this thing called IT service management came out of that. And I think we never lost the IT service management framework and the IT service management forums, the IT service management conferences, because we visibly did not want to call ourselves ITIL conferences and ITIL forums. We wanted to separate ourselves. So if we take away the IT and just call ourselves service management, which may or may not be right, what do we do with the things that underpin us, like Karen said, IT for IT, agile, lean IT, all those other things that all have the two letters, IT, do we strip that as well from us?
From my point of
Go ahead, Robert.
Okay, from my point of view, the root of ITSM, of course, is ITIL, but now we are moving to a new paradigm, is the digital paradigm. And then the things is that the customer will be customer focused. And my vision is that business and IT will merge together. And what is important is that we implement or help with our knowledge from ITSM, go to the business, and really implement all the things that we learn and support the digital. But the word IT, of course, that we will keep it, but we have now to focus on the user. This is more important, and we have a lot of knowledge in our area to improve and to support the new paradigm, the digital paradigm. And this is so for me, it's not really important to keep or not the IT and really go to what we can call digital service management and support the business, support the IT. We need to satisfy the customer. This is really the way we are going now, and the customer are demanding that. So they don't care about IT or business. They want a service, and this is important.
Robert, do you think that changed? I mean, ITSM to me was always focused on the service and the customer. ITIL was always focused on the customer and the service.
That's right. But now we have the opportunity to bring more visibility. You know what we did and come out of our comfort zone, IT. But now it's more than that. It's digital, so it's customer focused more and more. So we have really to go there and bring our knowledge.
Yeah, I think Robert's right. I think there's an opportunity, which is what I was sort of inferring to before. I'm not saying that IT knows everything, they don't, and IT can learn a lot for the rest of the organization. I'm not going to say IT in the business, because IT is the business, and that's a whole another conversation. But you know, I worked in an organization where we were helping IT put in processes, lot based on ITIL. It was a small organization, so lots of other parts of the organization became aware of what we were doing, and HR suddenly became very interested in an onboarding process, you know, and what we've been talking in request, you know, fulfillment, that I say I am employing someone in 30 days, and all the requests go out to security, to training, to personnel, to IT, to make sure that when that person arrives in the organization, they have all the access and everything else that they need. And HR were just like, wow, this is our process. This is what we should be driving. Facilities management did the same. So, you know, it's not so much, I think, like Andy was saying, roles per se, but just the processes that we've been doing for a long time now, some of the basic ones. The business are very, you know, I found that the business can be very interested in and saying, we could actually leverage that. You know, maybe make it leaner, make it, you know, more agile, which we're learning now in IT as well. But yeah, some good practice that IT have been trying to, whether they're successful or not for a while, being applying that the business can leverage it.
Let me play devil's. Sorry.
I was just going to say I agree to a lot of that. I think IT have taken on some of, you know, for example, Lean was always around in business management, you know, the manufacturing side, logistics, finance, all of that kind of thing. So we already had a lot of that. And then I think when IT have taken part of that up, and then with ITIL, etc., that I think IT have done some of the hard yards and, you know, some of the bleeding, I guess, in the hard work, in refining a lot of that. So now that we're able to take those other concepts with Agile and the digital side back into the business, so it's almost like service management is coming full circle. You know, I think there's a nice flow starting to happen with that.
Yeah, and I think we have to remember as well that IT is probably the youngest part of most organisations. HR has been around for a long time, manufacturing's been around, legal, etc. IT still is one of the newest parts of the organisation.
And the young ones leading the way.
I wanted to say, let me play a bit of a devil's advocate. So Karen, you said that, you know, we have so many processes and things we do really well, and how impressed was the business of how we do certain things. Simone, you said that you have worked in service management outside IT. So when you worked in service management outside IT, have you not had these processes? Have you not had similar business processes when you manage services outside IT? Have you not done exactly the same? So here is my question then. We cannot be big-headed to say that we have refined things and we have now IT does things better, so let's take it back to the business. In my opinion, instead of that, let's be a bit more humble. Let's be a bit more humble and try and understand the other side. Let's try and understand what does it mean to do service management on a business side. We cannot assume that we have improved and taken their processes, because that would mean that we assume that they haven't improved anything since they originally started those processes, which we have taken and improved. Because I can, you know, totally imagine that everybody improved. My brother works in logistics and manufacturing, and some of the, I think I used his example before. He once came for a service management conference as a photographer, because he does very good photography, and he listened into the presentations, and then he came to me and said, I can't believe that the people are just saying, oh, you should do this, you should use Kanban, you should use Agile, you should use Lean. This is how I always work. This is how we do work. This is how our processes are. We are working on Lean initiatives, on Agile ways of working, this and that. And then I thought, this is the key. We should be more humble, try and understand, and then connect. And Robert said something very, very true. This is now a digital world with full of digital transformations and initiatives. Are our processes, operating models, ways of working ready for a digital work? Do we understand what does it mean for any organization that they are digital? How do their business processes change when they become digital? Are our processes, approaches, and ways of thinking ready for that, to support it? Are we really ready to go to the business and say, let's work together as a continuum, as an integrated, and you know, I'm kind of tooting Siam here a little bit, but let's integrate and understand both sides. So that's my piece I want to say about that.
I think you're absolutely right, Andy, and I've got a friend who runs a manufacturing business, and they do Lean, they do Six Sigma to a phenomenal degree, way beyond anything I've ever seen in IT, because for them it's directly related to profit margins and to waste. You know, they're working on tiny profit margins. But when I was kind of doing a bit of prep for this and thinking about this topic, for me, I think we are almost at the next evolution of service management, and I think we will perhaps see the IT drop, because we are moving to business service management, to enterprise service management, and IT will actually just be delivering a small part of that. And I was kind of thinking, rather than dropping the IT, is it maybe time to drop service and just call it IT management? Because IT service management has traditionally been a very operational thing, and that's why you've got areas like DevOps and Agile that are growing up. So maybe we just need to focus on managing IT within the context of a wider business service management thinking.
So what if we even go further and beyond that and say technology management? Because IT is still such a, it has a little bit of a negative intonation, which kind of makes us being locked into our box, you know, where people still think, oh, you're in IT, do you fix computers? We will never be able to move away from that, you know, like kind of naming and, you know, name attached to IT or meaning attached to the word IT. So we can think further and beyond. We can call it, you know, technology management, or I wouldn't like to throw away service. I like the word service because it has good meaning in many different variations and contexts. But I would definitely drop IT because I feel that could limit us to what we can do.
Yes, service is very important. It's the core services. So I don't believe that we can remove this word, because it's the evolution, and you can extend to connect to the end user, to the business, to the IT service is very important for me. So I agree.
But is it business service management now? Because the IT service is just a small part of the business process. So should we be looking at the business service management and then managing the technology that underpins that?
Okay. Well, as I said, for me, business is moving. It will be added in the coming year with the digital world, because it's emerging. The big company will be reduced. They will more with small company, with more supplier and so on, and that will be a digital world. And I think business has no sense anymore. So for me, it's more digital service management or something like that, because for us it's an opportunity, as I already said, but business or enterprise has no sense anymore in the new paradigm, from my point of view.
Tristan, what's your 2 cents worth?
I think we're in danger of actually just getting into semantics and discussing names and forgetting the basis behind what it is. Every single ITSM chapter leader conference, for instance, that I've been to over the last sort of 8 years or so, this conversation has happened. Because somebody was saying before about what do we actually call things if imagine ITSM without the IT, those kind of things. But it really comes down to the fact that it's only a small part of it. It's actually what we do. I think people are concentrating on dropping the IT because there is a stigma. I think Andy was sort of talking about it before. There is kind of a stigma attached to IT that we're not going to get away from. I can't remember who it was. I was reading something a little while ago about the it's almost IT of actually being at the table and not being able to actually sort of step up, and we're hiding behind the fact that we're IT and nobody will listen to us. We've actually just got to get out there and grab it and say, this is how we can help you, or how we think we can help you, but you tell us how we can help you. And that's again, as I was saying before, it's the communication. We've got to actually go and talk to the business. What are their requirements? What value do we bring to them? It's the only way we're actually going to make progress in this.
So here is what I think. Instead of labels and names are important. Obviously, we shouldn't spend too much time on debating names and labels, but they are important because people associate meanings with names and labels. However, I wouldn't call it business service either, because then again that creates a divide to say, do IT or technology or whatever wants to manage a business service? What does it even mean, business service? We want to manage, and we are managing already and working with services. What are those services? What do they deliver? What is their outcome? What is their value? How and who takes what role in the whole service delivery? And that's what's very important.
I've now started to see business portfolio managers and an IT, someone just below the CIO, because he's sitting at the C-level boardroom level. But just below that, the core IT manager across all the areas is actually called a business portfolio manager. And I know that sounds strange, but think about it. If we are one part of the whole business, and I'm not talking about external IT in terms of at the supplier side, but HR has their business portfolio. Finance has their business portfolio they look after. They all have their particular services, as does IT have their services that they offer. So what's wrong with, if we, labels mean something, where if IT had the business portfolio of the technology, therefore, we become more part of the business. I mean, that's just one thought, because I have seen it starting to creep in now, which is a nice thing. They are at the table.
Is this be an issue in 5 or 10 years? Is IT actually going to exist as it exists now, or is it going to be embedded within pillars of the business? I think Karen said before, IT is the business, business is IT. I think that's another thing. And personally, I'd like to drop the M. I'd like to get rid of the management. I think there's a stigma attached to that. Over management.
Tristan, you say something very true, because you did say, you know, there is already a big debate, and you see it happening, actual real life, that IT in traditional meaning, IT operation and, you know, supporting is something which is, I think, becoming less and less important and really going out of the door. However, technology is playing an even bigger role than it ever played. And it is continuing to play a massive role. And that technology and everything around it will always have to be managed. And I think this is the key.
Sorry, Andy. I agree. I absolutely agree. But I think we just have to, and it's probably digressing a bit, and I recognise the time, but we have to recognise that IT is becoming more and more embedded into the rest, when I say the rest of the organisation. And the traditional IT has absolutely no control over that. Because of that trust that has broken down over the years between the rest of the organisation and IT, I've got a credit card, I've got a browser, I am going to buy my own tea and do my own IT and do my own thing. And traditional IT, if they want to, are going to have a massive swim upstream to try and get that back and become the service broker or the trusted advisor, because traditional IT is gone now. We're talking service integrator, which is your stuff, Andy, and you know, that trusted advisor to say to the business, yeah, you want to do A, then we can advise you on that. And I think that's going to be the service that the traditional IT as we see today is now going to offer in the future. But we've got to get our skates on or we'll be out of business.
Claire, what would be the impact of us taking IT out, or taking service out, or taking management out, whichever way we go, on the training organizations? How would we influence, how would we attract the youth of today into our world, and in a way that they're more than just developers and coders, that they're actually contributors to the way an organization works?
That's a good question, and it's one I have been giving some thought to personally of late, because I think that there's a whole possibly separate conversation to be had around this, but the education that's being offered in schools and in universities still isn't really preparing people or teaching them necessarily the everything they need. So I was talking to a graduate this week, and she'd done a DevOps module as part of her computer science degree. Nothing at all about ITIL or service management. So she'd then got a job with a large company. They'd put her on the ITIL foundation, and she said, this was brilliant. I wish I'd done this at university as well. So I think maybe that's another conversation for another day, but we're not preparing people adequately to come and work in IT. And in the train station in the city closest to me now, there's a massive poster that says, are you a bit geeky? Come and work for us, starting salary from £35,000 a year. And that's the bit of IT that's kind of dragging in the talent at the moment, is the coders. But as we know, that's just a small section of IT.
And that's such an old image too, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's like when I first went into IT from the business side and started managing customer support areas, and also then started managing some of the network teams. And they said, well, a few of them were a bit miffed and said, but hang on, you're not a network techie. How can you possibly manage this department? And I said, okay, the key word here was manage and lead. You guys are the experts. My role in service management is knowing how to pull those skills, what skills are needed, and how to pull those skill sets together and make it happen. So I think we're still stuck in thinking that IT management roles or leadership roles, that you have to be geeky, that you have to have known how to put a box together. And I think that's where we're still stuck. I mean, if we're sort of going IT SM or just SM or business SM or whichever way you want to do it, if we can't articulate clearly who and what we do as a portfolio And that includes, doesn't matter whether it's ITIL, Agile, SIAM, DevOps, any of that, as a portfolio, because it's a integrated whole ecosystem. If we can't articulate what our ecosystem is, how are we going to attract these people?
And also, I also think it's very important that we must, and this is again leading back to what Claire said and the question from you, Daniel, business intelligence, understanding how business operations, business outcomes, strategy, vision work, emotional intelligence, soft skills, business relationship management are super duper critical. For me, these are more critical for a service management professional than an ITIL expert badge. But that's my take on it.
Thanks, Sandy.
Great. I'll just finish on one thing, because I realise Claire's going to shut us down any minute. The one challenge we might have, and this is tongue-in-cheek, if we've dropped the IT, so we don't have hashtag ITSM, we just have hashtag SM, it could be very interesting.
Too true, too true.
Yes.
As long as we don't make it service and management, we're fine.
Hang on, I actually thought, Karen, that was how you felt after a career in ITSM anyway.
That's a topic for a different hangout, I must have to say.
On a different channel.
Definitely not being recorded.
The underbelly of Twitter. I won't advise anybody to search for certain hashtags.
So it feels to me, because Karen's right, we are coming to the end of our time. It feels to me like we've sort of agreed that we maybe need to drop the IT and the service and the management from IT service management. So perhaps we'll just be symbol next time we have this discussion. The artist formerly known as IT service management.
It worked for Prince, and he made a very fantastic career out of it.
Well, yeah. So if you've enjoyed this chat, we are actually talking about this topic again today at 6 p.m. UK time. We've got another group of mentors, including some of our US mentors joining us on that one. So if you want to kind of pick up this discussion again, you would be very welcome to join us. And I think Daniel's just given us our next topic as well. So we will be scheduling a chat very soon to talk about what people need now to prepare them for a career in IT. So that's been a really, really good discussion. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us. Tristan, welcome. This was your first ITSM Crowd and hopefully first of many. And I hope you all have lovely days, evenings. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.